there, my name is Kelly Dale, owner of Off the Beaded Path. I have a studio location in Forest City, North Carolina, and I have a website called offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com. So first of all, let me apologize for the way my voice sounds. The last week and a half of August, I have had COVID, so I'm on the back end of it. I feel fine. I just still have some stuff going on here. So we're going to try to get through today without too many voice issues. But today, I'm going to be doing the retro redo, which was supposed to be for August, but of course, I did not get to it because of being sick. But the retro redo for August was for the Solitaire Ring. I did this ring back in 2012, and it was a fun project then, but a lot of things I've learned since then have really helped to make the project even better for the redo. So here's what you're going to need. You are going to need a 14 by 10 oval crystal. All right. So you can use a cabochon if you can't find an oval crystal. But the oval crystal, the way that I'm going to teach how to finish out the back, it's really made for that oval crystal. Okay, so you can use the crystal that shall not be named. You can use a brilliance crystal. Preciosa, I believe, makes a 14 by 10. So you can definitely use the oval for that. You're going to need 1.5 grams of a size 11 Delica bead. This is going to be for the encasement and for the ring band that you're going to be doing. You're going to need 1 gram of a size 15 Miyuki Seed Bead. It really needs to be that Miyuki to get a nice encasement. You're going to need a size 12 needle as well as 2.5 yards of your favorite beading thread. Now, I always get questions specifically what kind of thread. Honestly, it's up to you and what your favorite kind is. I tried a 6-pound fire line. I tried a .006 dragon thread. I tried a 1G. I tried a KO. All of those will work. So whatever floats your boat and makes you happy, it should work on your project. One more optional thing that you're going to need is if you have a hard time holding on to beadwork to get an encasement started, you will want a 1/2 inch wooden dowel. Okay, the 1/2 inch wooden dowel is going to be so helpful to you because the encasement is about the size of the dowel. So I'm going to be using the 1/2 inch size. This actually comes in a dowel set that I sell here at the store by the Beadsmith. There is also a version that I sell on the website that is by the Beading company, and both of them have the same sizes in them. But this is a great little pack. I'll put a link below here in the show notes for you. So let's go ahead and get started so we can learn how I've altered this ring for our retro redo. All right, so here's the ring that I'm going to show you how to make today. This one is using some of the beautiful Picasso Delica beads here with a red or a cyan oval stone. This one here you'll see is a blue version with the aqua stone and some beautiful light blue iced colored delicas. And then this one actually is kind of a purpley mauve delica here with a topaz stone and some champagne 15s. So here's a couple of samples of the ring I'm going to make today. And you can see here on the back, it's almost completely fully encased with our ring shank on the back. So I'm going to be using the size 6 in the gray dragon thread today. Again, you can use whatever you want. I'm going to be using the crystal AB in my oval stone. So you can see here how the stone has a little bit of a point back to it, just a very shallow point. And then I have my 11s and my 15s. So I've got 2.5 yards of thread onto my needle, and I'm going to thread on 32 Delica beads. Now, when you get these 32 on there, count them and double count them to make sure you have them correct. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these beads down, and I want to leave about a 4-inch tail, okay? And then I'm going to go through all those beads again. So from the tail thread up to the working thread, I'm going to go through the beads. So I'm using a little bit of a smaller needle. trying out a size 13 tulip needle to see how I like it. So it's not as long as your regular needle, so I'm not going to be able to go through all of them at one time. But I am going to go through some of them and go ahead and pull it through, hanging on to my little tail thread here. And I'm going to continue to go through my beads around in the circle. And then I'm going to continue through the first bead I added, which was the one right here that my little tail is coming out of. So that when I go through that, I will have the working thread coming out of one side of the bead and the short tail thread coming out of the other side of the bead. So that I will have my ring of beads here. Now, this is where your little piece of 1/2-inch diameter dowel is going to come in super handy because it fits this perfectly. So when you put your ring of beads on there, you can see that it absolutely fits perfect. And it's going to be helpful to have it to kind of work your first row with. So I'm going to see if I can zoom in here just a little bit so it'll be a little bit easier for you to see. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work a row of regular tubular peyote. So I'm picking up a Delica from where I'm coming out. I am skipping a Delica and going through the next Delica, just like this. Okay, if you see that it kind of gets loose right there, just pull your tail thread and your working thread in opposite directions, and it will tighten that up for you. The first couple of beads you do, it may be a little bit loose because this is not tied, and that's okay. Just do what I just showed you here and pull it back tight. So now I pick up a Delica, I am coming out of one, I skip one, and I go through one, just like this. And again, if it loosens up, just pull those two threads to tighten up your beadwork. It's going to tighten up as you work anyway, so don't stress out about it. Pick up a bead, skip a bead, go through a bead, and I'm going to work just like this, picking up a bead, skipping a bead, and going through a bead. I'm going to do that all the way around. So once you've got going all the way around, you'll see here I've got one bead left to add. So to add the one bead, I'm coming out of this bead, I skip this bead, and I go through here. Don't make the mistake of jumping up here. You have to finish the row first. So to finish the row, I'm going to go through this single bead. And then I'm ready for the step up. So the step up simply means that I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to go through the bead right above where the thread was coming out, which is the first bead of the row. So I can pull that through, and now I'm ready for the next row. So the next row is super easy. All we do is we pick up a Delica and we come through the open Delica here. And we work around the piece, just picking up a Delica and going through the next Delica sticking up. We do this all the way around. On each row, we are adding a total of 16 beads. So as you add your rows, or as you add your beads, it may be helpful to lay out 16 here in a pile. If you're not great with the step-ups on encasements or tubular peyote, you just lay out 16 in a pile and continue to add your beads. So I'm just going to continue to add my beads here around the ring. So I've gone around putting my Delicas in, and I'm back to where I need to do my step up now. But first, I have to finish the row. So to finish the row, you'll see here that I have this little open space. So what I need to do is I need to come through this bead here to finish the row. And then I'll do my step up. So my step up is just simply coming through the bead, which is the first bead that I added on the row. It's the very next one sticking up. Just like that. Now, we're ready to use our 15s for the top of the encasement. Before I start putting those 15s on, I'm going to put a needle onto this short tail thread, and I'm going to stitch this through a couple of beads and then trim this tail off. Okay, so when we add our 15s, I can just slide my encasement up to the top for just a few minutes so I still can kind of have something to hold on to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up one of my little Miyuki 15s here, and I'm going to work it just like I did the Delicas. I'm going to pick it up and come through the next Delica sticking up so that it's going to pop that bead into place just like this. So then we pick up a Delica and come through the next Delica. Not pick up a Delica, pick up a 15. You'll see just like that. If you want to, you can take it off at this point and kind of hold it with your fingers because now you have something to hold on to. So it's completely up to you, but I'm just going to be picking up a 15 and going through and pulling tight just like this. As you can see, I've gone around with my 15s and I'm going to pick up one last 15 and I have to finish the row. So I have to come through this Delica and then I do my step up. So I come through the Delica and then the first 15 I added in the row. Just like that. So that now that first row of 15s is complete. So now I'm going to work one more row of 15s because we want 2 rows of 15s so it really holds our crystal here into place. So one more row is really going to help to cinch it in. So we work them just like we've been doing. I pick up a 15 and I go through the next 15. Okay. Pick up a 15, go through the next 15. And I'm going to work the rows of 15s just like this. Once you complete the second row of 15s, you'll see here that the top looks pretty nice and cupped now, like we need it to be. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass through the beads to exit any one of the up beads here on the back. So from the bead that I'm exiting right here, I'm just going to kind of continue in a diagonal to exit on the back side of the piece. And again, I want it on a Delica that's sticking up, just like this one is. Now we get to add our stone, which is always the fun part. So our stone is going to sit down in the piece just like this. And it should sit perfectly in the encasement. Okay, so when I say it should fit perfectly, you see there what kind of a lip it has around the piece. If it doesn't, you've probably done counts wrong or wrong size beads or whatever, because it's a perfect size encasement for your piece. Oh man, that's going to be beautiful on there. So I'm so excited. But now, just like we did on the front, I'm going to work 2 rows of my 15s here along the back side. Once you have your 2 rows completed, this is what it should look like at this point. Your stone should be very secure in its encasement. And we are now ready to start doing some decreases for the back part of the piece here. So to do the first decrease, I'm coming out of my size 15 seed bead here. I'm going to pick up 1 15 and I'm going to come back through the same 15 that my thread is coming out of so that it makes a circle. So my working thread is coming out here to the left. So I'm taking my needle and just going back through the same bead from right to left so that we're doing a square stitch. And I'm going to just take my finger and push that bead up so that it sits on top of the bead just like this and against the stone. I'm going to go through the next lower 15 and then upper 15. So I'm not putting anything in the little space there. So I pick up a 15. I come back through the same 15 my thread's coming out of so that it makes a circle here. Just that single 15. pull it through, and you're just lay the bead down against the stone just like this, and then continue on through the next lower 15 and upper 15. And you're going to do this all the way around, just putting a 15 above the upper 15s. All right, so you will only have 15s sitting above the upper 15s. So nothing will be in these little spaces here where our lower 15s are at. So just keep working all the way around to add those beads in place. Once you finish this row, this is what your piece should look like. My thread is coming out of this last upper 15 right here that I had, this was the last 15 I put in, and I just come down through the lower and the upper 15. So now I have to step up so I can work on this row. So to step up, I'm simply going to go through that size 15 right above where my thread's coming out, and I'm going to be working in the opposite direction. So I'm going to put my finger on that bead as I pull the thread through so that I'm coming out just like this. Now we're going to work one more row, but it's going to be a decrease row again. So I pick up my 15 and I come back through the same 15 that my thread is coming out of to make that circle. And again, we want it to sit right on top just like this. But now, instead of going through a lower and an upper 15, we're just going to go through 2 15s on the same row. I pick up a 15. I'm going to come back through the same 15 that my thread's coming out of to make a circle here. And again, I'm just going to set it down, make sure it's laying up straight there, and just set it down on top. And then go through 2 15s. And I'm going to work around the row, putting in 1 15 and then going through 2 15s. So I've gone all the way around, adding in 8 15s. So you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those 15s. So this was the last 15 that I threaded on, and I came through my 2 15s so that now I'm exiting here. So just like I stepped up from here to here, I have to step up by going through this bead right here, and I'm going to be going in the opposite direction. So I'm going to put my finger on it so it'll hold everything tight as I pull. And then what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to take my needle and go through 1 more 15. So from where I'm coming out, just go through 1 bead. I'm going to pick up a 15 and come through the next 15. Pick up a 15, and this time I'm going to go through 3 15s. So I'm going to go through 1, 2, and 3. So 1, 2, and then 3. Pick up a 15, go through a 15, and then pick up a 15 and do the same as we did on this end. I'll go through 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And that finishes out the back part of the encasement. Now the good thing is you don't have to worry about that center tiny strip right here, because what's going to happen, these 15s are lifted up high enough where it's going to protect that, so you don't have to worry about your skin rubbing up against that. So that is the really great part. Now what I want to do is I want to be coming out of the 3 15s that are centered here on this side. So that's just going through 3 more 15s. so that you can see there where I would be coming out at. I'm going to pick up a 15, 3 of my Delicas, and a 15. I'm going to come back through those 3 15s again so that the thread makes a circle. Now I'm going to reinforce this again, so I'm going to go through the 15, the 3 11s, which are going to sit funky for a few minutes. But that's okay because we're going to fix it. And then the 15, the 3 base 11s. This is why I'm testing this little size 13 needle, because it goes through these 15 so many times without getting tight, and it's so wonderful. And then I will go up through a 15 in one of my Delicas. So a 15 and 1 Delica. Now this is where, if you have an awl, the awl will kind of come in handy, okay? Because you can take your needle or your awl and kind of just get those 3 beads aligned again a little bit there if you need to. So we're going to work a strip of odd count peyote, and I can hear some of you groaning right now without even seeing you. I can hear it. It's the audible groan. Oh, odd count. But it's really quick and it's really easy, and I'm going to show you how. So we pick up our size 11 seed bead. We're going to skip the middle one for now that's sticking up, and we're going to go through the end one here. Okay, and this new one, we want to just kind of set it up like this, make it sit the way it needs to. I'm going to work back the other direction, so I pick up a Delica, I come back through the bead that I just added, all right? So by doing that, I'm going to make sure that when I go through it, that I put my finger on that bead to keep it tight. And then I'm going to pick up a Delica, and I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to go under the thread here between the 15 and the Delica. And by doing this, pull it and make sure that that thread goes between those beads, just like that. Okay, so I pulled it in between them, and now I go back through the bead that I just added. This is going to straighten that line of beads up right there. See how it straightened them up, and it got my odd count started. So now I pick up a Delica, I go through the one sticking up here on the end. Pick up a Delica, come back through the one I just added, and it's helpful if you'll take your pointer and your thumb and you'll hold that bead into place. And then you pick up a Delica, and this time I'm going to go under the thread here between the 2 end Delica beads. So the first time I went under the thread between the 15 and the Delica, this time it's between the 2 Delicas. Set it up straight there and go back through that same bead again. You'll notice I always hold those beads into place. It's just because it will give them a really nice tightness as you work. So I pick up a Delica, I go through one, pick up a Delica, work back towards myself. Oh, I see a thread here. Hold on. There we go. Come back through that middle bead again. Pick up a Delica, and this time I'm going to go under the thread between the next 2 Delicas here on the end. So we're basically brick stitching on that one bead right there. It's just an easy way to do this stitch for a band this skinny. pick up, come through, and then pick up. And when you pick up this time, you come under the thread here between the next two Delicas. Pull it through, and then you're ready to start your row again. So you are going to continue the stitch until you get a length that you need for the ring band itself. Now, as you work, if you have a ring mandrel like this will help you tremendously to know the sizing that you want, because you'll be able to center the stone over the number and wrap the ring band around to kind of know what size. So right now, I don't have a whole lot done, so I'm on a size right out of 1. So this will help you tremendously in seeing the sizing that you're going to want for your piece. So I'm just going to continue until I get the size that I need. Once you have the length of your ring shank the way that you want it, you want to finish with the 1 bead here in the middle, just like this one is. And we're going to flip this over and pick up 1 size 15 seed bead. So my thread is coming out on this side right here. So I'm going to come across to the 3 15s here on this side that are centered. And I'm going to go through them in this direction so that it will put a 15 on this side of the ring band. Now I'm not going to pull it tight yet, just because I want you to be able to see what's happening. I'm going to pick up a 15. Now my thread is coming out this direction, and I'm going to go through my beads here on this end. Okay, so that when I hold the band and I pull, you can see there that it finishes out the ring band. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to reinforce this loop of beads several times, and then I'm going to take my needle and zigzag through all the way through to get rid of a lot of my thread here, and then I'm going to trim the thread off. So normally when I do a ring video, I get a lot of questions about the stability of a ring band. Number one, if you do a beaded band like I did on this one, which we just completed, will it stretch, or how do you stop it from stretching? Number one, yes. No matter what thread you use, over time, if you wear your ring a lot, it is going to stretch the band. So a lot of times, what I like to do for my band is I will make it a little tighter than what I normally wear. So then that way, as it stretches, it'll stretch out almost to the perfect size. So if you make it right at the size you normally wear, it's going to get loose. So you can wear it on other fingers if you need to, but I always make mine a little bit tighter than I normally would. So like I said, when it stretches, it'll be perfect. Now, if it stretches too much, the easiest option to do, well, there's 2 options. Option 1 is when you make your ring band, instead of using the same thread that I used here on the top, you can start a new thread. So that way, if it stretches too much, then all you have to do is snip the ring band itself, pull out the old beads and the old thread, and then just restitch it with new thread. It doesn't take very long to restitch a little band this size. The other option that you have is you can always make the band with a stretch material, like a 0.5 millimeter stretch magic. You won't be able to use your Delicas to do this with. You'll need to use maybe like a 3 millimeter fire polish bead, but it is super, super simple to do that. Instead of doing the shank like we did with the 15, the 311s and the 15, you would simply put on a 15, or I would probably do an 11, a 3 millimeter fire polish, and an 11. And you would stitch around and do the same thing on the other side so that you could do a stretchy band for this. Now, I've not done one in this particular video, but below I'm going to link to a couple of videos where I did stretch bands on my rings, so that way you can see how incredibly easy it is to add a stretch band to your piece. So that way, again, If it stretches out over time, all you have to do is snip the thread, and doing a band with a little 3mm fire polish is very, very quick. So those are the good things. If you do wear your ring a lot, like I like to wear some of my rings, and they stretch out over time, that's 2 easy ways that you can fix that issue. So as you can see, the ring is quick to make, and it is so pretty when you wear it. Man, the sparkle factor in this is just amazing. And I love, love, love this retro redo for August. So I do have a stock of these oval crystals as well as Delicas on my website. You can also find it off the beadedpathbeadstore.com, the step-by-step written pattern for sale on there. And again, I'll link that below in the video description, so that way you can get direct access to that, because it's a really good step-by-step pattern with pictures, words, everything that you need if you don't like to follow along with a video. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.